Welcome everybody to Lap Jam virtual session. A couple of housekeeping items as we get started. We will be recording today, so that means Aaron and I will not drop any f-bombs, or we'll try not to. I can't guarantee on Amy Lou's part, but she's welcome to do whatever she wants as soon as I hand over the reins. But we are recording. We get these up on our YouTube site, the Learnapalooza YouTube site, by Monday afternoon. So if you want to come back and watch the video again, you're certainly welcome to do that. We'll have some information on our website as well. We do have some really great future lap jams coming up, or lap light. We're still trying to figure out the name, by the way. So if you can we're trying to figure out. So we went from Learnapalooza jam or meetups to online virtual, and we're still trying to figure out what's the right, because these aren't really webinars, because everybody that we've had so far has just been really engaged and interactive. So love to hear in the chat window or afterwards what are some good ways of calling these out. But these are really just engaging working sessions. With that in mind, though, we do have some really great facilitators in the future. So next week we have Bruce, who is on the call, I see. Bruce is going to take us through more than micro-learning, how to create agile task-based learning experiences, which will be really interesting, I know. And then we've got a couple of other ones coming up on June 11th and 18th, and we'll talk about those a little bit at the end as well. But some fantastic people from our community just kind of giving back, helping us all get familiar with each other, as well as teaching us something. For those of you that don't know, we did push Learnapalooza Innovation Jam to September 11th. So we're still planning on a in-person event. We believe that while we can stay connected in this time, in the virtual space, we love the idea of getting together and touching each other. Well, not touching each other in person, but being together in person. Just put it that way. Sorry about that. But with that being said, let's get our jam on. I'm going to pass it over to Amy Lou and let her do her own introduction, because she's fantastic at it. And then Aaron will come on at the end to share some more information on future Learnapalooza type of stuff. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation. Everybody seeing that okay? Yes? Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. Can everybody turn on their mics for just a second and say hi?
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Oh. Happy Thursday.
Yay,
Friday
happy
Eve.
Thursday. There you go. Lovely. Thank you. I have been looking forward to just hanging out with all you fabulous Learnapalooza folks. Certainly all day long, it's been something that's been the highlight of my day that I'm looking forward to. So thanks for being here, everyone. I am Amy Lou Abernethy. AMP Creative is my company, and we design learning experiences. We used human-centric design, and we love to play with innovative technology. So we love to play with things like AR and VR, but at the heart of everything we do is the human heart. So sometimes, cardboard and markers works to get the message across. So whatever it happens to be, we like to bring story to it and great learning experiences. So today I'm going to talk to you about something called perspective taking. It sounds very, very simple, like all elegant and fantastic ideas. It is, but it's something that I've been really, really passionate about these last few years, and we've gotten deeper and deeper into it. And I want to share today how I discovered perspective taking. It's not my discovery, but how I came to it and kind of my aha moments around it. I want to talk about what it means to be powered by perspective. I want us to explore some perspective taking blockers that keep us from really engaging in perspective taking. We're going to do that in a breakout session. And then I'm going to give you a peek at the framework that I'm working on. So what I'm working towards is a day-long workshop that really covers the gamut of what perspective taking is. And in these next few minutes, we're not going to be able to cover all of that, but I want to give you a peek under the hood and I want to get your great, fantastic minds to help me figure some stuff out. So in our breakout sessions, I'm really going to be bringing all of you together as knowledge creators so that we can learn together. Awesome. Let's go forward and talk about what it means when I say that I have discovered what it meant for me to be discovering perspective taking. So I mentioned that at AMP, we really love cutting edge technology. And a few years ago, we had the opportunity to create a perspective taking experience in VR. And for any of you who have explored virtual reality, perspective taking might be something that you've engaged in. And so when I say perspective taking, I'm talking about the active contemplation of others' psychological experiences. And I'm curious how many of you folks in the audience might have put on a VR headset and engaged in any perspective taking experiences. Has anyone gone through one of those? I see some no's. I see just a few folks in my gallery here. I've got some thumbs up. Does anyone want to unmute and tell us something that you've experienced in VR? Kind of a POV or perspective taking experience? Any volunteers?
Yeah,
one
perspective I can mention is perspective of like a scuba diver, but it's not, perspective in terms of the training that we normally expect of saying, we're putting you in the perspective of, here's your manager in front of 5 hot-headed employees. What are you going to do in this situation?
Gotcha. So not like a workplace simulation, but certainly you've experienced that VR is really great to get you into places that you might not normally go. Is that more of what you experienced? Yeah. Yep. Awesome. So it's great for that. And when one of our, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Frank Fuoco, who works in the technology team over at Starbucks, they actually did a VR of a coffee plantation in Costa Rica. So getting the perspective of those field workers.
Oh, excellent. Right. Yeah. Some people call it an empathy machine because it really can get you in different people's shoes. And so when one of our clients approached us and said, we want something to go with our bias awareness class, what can we do? We want a big bet, something that's a moonshot. What would be awesome? And so we said, well, what would be really awesome would be to use VR to really put you in the shoes of someone else. And we created, we did a lot of research and created 2 characters, and you went through points of their life where they experienced microaggressions. And this impact would build up, sort of that death by 1,000 cuts. And so we created this experience for them, and we got to take it into massive workshops where hundreds of leaders from around the world would be putting on a headset, experiencing these perspectives. And then they would take the headset off, and there would be this amazing transformation. In fact, we redesigned entire workshops around this because when people removed the headset, they were in this incredibly fertile and sensitive psychological place where they were ready to change. They were ready to change themselves, and they were ready to change the systems that they had power over. So we created these design workshops where leaders would reevaluate the way people were evaluated. They would really look at the systems that they had in place and change those systems, as well as changing personal behavior and allyship. And it was so amazing that we made our own experience that you can demo. Hopefully in September, we'll be able to show you, some of these experiences where you can put on the VR headset and see what we've done. But those we've been to a lot of different conventions, and we've worked with a lot of different clients who go through that experience. And again, there's something that happens during that perspective taking that when they take off the headset, amazing things can happen. One of our clients was so inspired by it that they had us create an experience that has been released to the world. So you can go to vrforinclusion.fb.com and download an experience. 5 women from around the world in male-dominated workplaces and some of their day-to-day workplace experiences. So these were all these perspective-taking experiences where people go through it, take it off, and they're in this fertile place. And so I was like, what is happening here? I mean, I know we can create some pretty cool stuff at AMP. I know that's true. And I was proud of what we created, but there was something else happening psychologically. And I wanted to know why these things were so effective. So it was this perspective taking that I started to dig into. So much research around perspective taking that has nothing to do with VR. It has to do with us, members of the human family, wondering what other members of the human family are experiencing and realizing that it's different from what we're experiencing and using that to bridge the gap between ourselves. It's amazing, and it can transform human experiences. So I want to stop here for just a second. And I know that this was billed as diversity, equity, inclusion. See how this is being used in diversity, equity, inclusion. And that is definitely a space that I play in a lot. I do a lot of work in that area. But I think all of us who do work in that area would completely agree that the systems and skills that one puts into place to create equity and inclusion are the systems and skills that one puts into place to create a collaborative, creative, and innovative society. There's just no difference or special thing about diversity, equity, and inclusion approaches that shouldn't be approaches we use everywhere and every day. I think probably a lot of us are passionate about things that we say like, this is for the world. And so this is one of those things that I don't want to put in a box, a diversity, equity, inclusion box. I don't know that there is such a box, but it's really a practice that that can enrich all of human experiences. So that's what I want to do. I want to superpower perspective taking without the headset, and we can get really bad. We can get really good at perspective taking. Why should we care about this? What does it mean when we engage in perspective taking, when we hone that skill, and when we use it regularly? Can some people maybe unmute yourself and just tell me, like, what do you think it would mean to be powered by perspective taking and to use that in more situations?
Me?
Hey, Susie.
Hi. Well, I think it would ignite compassion in the workplace, and I think compassion is inspiring and would have a ripple effect throughout the company.
Yeah, I agree.
People, you know, really experiencing another's humanity and really getting what different aspects of the company contribute to the whole.
Yeah, I think you're right, Susie. Can anyone think of a situation recently where they actively engaged in trying to figure out where someone else was coming from? Has anybody done that today, yesterday, day before?
I did it yesterday.
Karen.
Hello. I took a training yesterday, sort of a double training, learning how to give this training, but also had to experience it as the learner. And part of it was a role play that we had to put ourselves in another position of somebody from a scenario that my partner came up with that he had experienced in his life. So in that moment, real quickly, I had to kind of, oh God, what would that mean? What would, if that were really me having this experience, or if I were that person having the experience, how would that look? What would it feel like? And it's an interesting shift. And if that kind of thing became automatic in every situation or in every confrontation that you have, oh, let me think about it from the other side real quick, I think the world would be a much nicer place.
Yeah, absolutely. It really can. So there are some words there. I think that compassion was a word that was used. Shift, right? Shifting. And also, not every one of us clamored all over each other to say like, oh, I just did that an hour ago, right? It's not something, it's so interesting because if you could read all the research that I've read, it's been a lot, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Let me just distill it for you. Just a suggestion to someone in an experimental situation, in a research situation, just a suggestion of consider someone else's perspective. totally changes outcomes. I mean, significantly changes outcomes just consider what someone else might be experiencing. So imagine if you had a skill to do that and you got really good at it. What could it mean for you? Well, one thing that happens when we engage in perspective taking is empathy. We experience empathy, which is the ability to recognize, understand, and share another's feelings. And when we engage in perspective taking and experience empathy, some incredible stuff happens. I've got a list here that has 6 incredible outcomes of perspective taking. Pro-social effects, if you want another fancy hyphenated word. These are 6 because my PowerPoint deck had 6 spaces. But if it had had 100, I probably could come up with 100. So I'll just tell you 6 of them. It counteracts expressions of bias. So overt expressions of discrimination are counteracted when you ask someone to consider what life is like from someone else's point of view. It decreases implicit bias. It increases team creativity. It goes up when you just ask the team members to consider their collaborators' points of view. They become more creative and innovative. Oh, what a big surprise. It stabilizes marriages. So the next time you want to throw a plate at someone, just think of what it would look like coming from your direction. Maybe you can avoid that. It improves conflict resolution. It creates successful leaders. Folks, I could go on and on and on. Whenever there are 2 humans who are collaborating in any human interaction, I think should be a collaboration, there are incredible effects if you just suggest that they consider the world from someone else's point of view. So what's going on? Why aren't we doing this all the time? What is keeping us from engaging in perspective taking? Anyone want to hazard a guess why we don't do this all the time? Do you want to speak, Janie? Is that code for I'm raising my hand?
Yeah, that was what Erin asked us to do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Erin asked you to do that. I'm saying just unmute and talk because
okay.
we're a close-knit little group today, so I feel like we probably won't clamor over each other too much.
Okay. So you were asking about perspective blockers, and perspective blockers to me are like it's kind of the opposite of wanting to get somebody else's point of view. So you've got the blinders on, you're set in your ways, and my way or the highway.
Gotcha. So you might have some like active resistance to it, and just not want to do it. Yeah. Anyone else want to think of what stands between us? Here's standing between us. I've got a little graphic for that. What stands between us and the ability to really engage in perspective taking? Other thoughts?
Psychologists might point to the ego. It's not intentional, but your own fragile little ego gets in the way. And
Gotcha.
We're worried. We want to connect. We want membership. We want to be accepted, but we also worry about it. And so that dynamic can lead to self-centeredness and not thinking about others because we're so busy worrying about ourselves. So
interesting. Yeah, sure.
Not speaking from experience at all.
Anyone else have some thoughts about what might stand between us?
I was going to say that it takes patience. It takes slowing down and listening. And I think a lot of times people are pretty driven and excited to continue momentum. And that slowing down can be painful for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to navigate and see who was talking. Was that Amy?
Yeah.
Amy.
Yep.
Oh, hi, Amy. Yeah, I think that's really true. So, and I can speak a little bit more to that. The main sort of blockers tend to be motivation and ability, and along that way, I think are like stress and cognitive load, which I think kind of are alluding to what you're talking about, Amy. Motivation, like the ego, might be kind of wrapped up in that, right? And so all of those things can tend to get in the way. And so I thought, well, one thing that I've seen really motivate people to kind of get past that. And one of the things that I thought accelerated this perspective taking was that VR experience that we created. So my vision for a day, a perspective taking workshop would be, if it's a virtual workshop, everybody gets shipped the headset. If we're all together in the world someday, then we go through the experience together, and they take off the headset and they feel that this was a meaningful experience, that this perspective taking thing might be the ticket. And then to say, guess what? You can do that without a headset. Now, it's not going to be quite as easy, unfortunately. There's a bit more of a cognitive load, and you got to get through some stuff in your head. So I'm going to teach you perspective taking skills so that you can get closer and closer to that amazing thing that you just experienced in that headset on your own. So I'll tell you the 4-step perspective taking skill framework. I'm going to go through it really quickly. It's a lot, and I'm not going to get any deeper than some cute little graphics. And then we're going to dive deeper into the first one, and we're going to do that in some breakout groups. So that's the plan. So the 4-step perspective taking framework is first, become aware of the 4 mental blockers that are in your head and heart and in your collaborator's head and heart. Those 4 blockers are the things that we're going to dive into today. So the first step, just know what they are. Know what is baked into our human hardware that keeps us from being able to understand one another. Step 1. Step 2, come up with a couple of hypotheses about what your collaborator might be experiencing. Engage in an active contemplation of their psychological point of view, knowing what blockers you have and what blockers they have. So that's 2. Hypothesize. Come up with a couple of hypotheses to counteract the fact that you have these cognitive blockers. Step 3, observe. What's the situation around? Hey, is COVID-19 happening? Guess what? People's lives might have changed. Let's observe for step 3 and adjust whatever our hypothesis is of our collaborator's point of view. And then 4, ask. Ask them if this is actually what they are experiencing and offer your own perspective. So it's pretty tricky to take 4 very difficult skills to master and put them into 4 cute little icons and say that you've just come up with a perspective taking framework because it's very deep. This could be a lifetime of work to master all of these skills, right? That's what I think is so funny about these frameworks that we come up with. We're like, there, it's 4-step framework. We're done. Awesome. So we're going to just dip a little bit into step number 1, which is to become aware of those perspective blockers. There are 4 of them that are common. They are research backed. I've got a lot of papers that have been written about them. And if you're coming from a diversity, equity, and inclusion point of view, there is one of them in there that kind of encompasses a lot of what we talk about in the DE&I space, but there are 3 others that plague all of us humans in the way we perceive the world, and I think they'll be pretty interesting to take a look at them. So we're going to become aware of perspective blockers in our breakout session. Before we move to the breakout session, I want to show you something else that I've got in mind for today. Has anyone, I guess I have to stop sharing and then start sharing again. Has everybody been seeing this little thing that popped up? That's embarrassing.
No.
No, you didn't? Okay.
Mm-mm.
It was my little, like, this is what is next in your life sort of thing. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this. Has anybody been using Mural by any chance? You know what Mural is? We're going to do it today, folks. It's fun. You're going to leave this workshop not only thinking about perspective taking, but you're going to have this new tool in your toolbox. It's really cool. I'm going to share my screen, but I'm also going to share this link before we go into our breakout sessions, I'm going to share this link and I want everyone to join. So look at the chat, join this link. Oh, there we go. Erin's Johnny on the spot.
I was trying, sorry.
And actually, well, I'm going to share my screen too. I'm like, do everything all at once. I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you what you're going to see when you click on that link. Does everybody see my mural screen here?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. It says perspective blockers. That link that I just sent you in the chat, that Erin just sent you, will allow you to join this canvas, this mural. And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do in our breakouts. So you're going to join as an anonymous animal. You'll be like anonymous ram. Someone is anonymous cow. We've got a couple of anonymous cows. That's kind of funny. Don't take it personally. And so we're going to divide into 4 groups. Oh, whoops, I was supposed to lock everything. Yeah, some of these things you can tear this little room apart if you're not careful. But just to look really quickly, you can zoom around using either this little map down here in the corner, or you can use gestures to kind of zoom in and out and around. This is like a whiteboard, right? And we're going to brainstorm in these different areas, and we're going to write on these sticky notes. And the way that you write on a sticky note is you just click on it and start writing. And there you go, you've written on a sticky note. If you want to make a sticky note, you double click anywhere and you can make another sticky note. Okay, so that is how that works. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do in our breakout sessions. Do I have everybody's listening ears on? Because I know it's fun to zoom around mural. We got your listening ears on? Okay, cool. So we have 4 different colors here. We're going to be in 4 different groups. Darren, are they usually called like group 1, 2, 3, and 4? Or how are they named?
Yeah, they're breakout room 1, breakout room 2. Yep.
Okay, cool. So breakout room 1 is going to start in the yellow. 2 is going to start in the blue. 3 is going to start in the, what do you think?
Green.
Yeah, very good. And 4 will start in the
Purple.
Is everybody here with me? Okay. Now in round 1, here's where it gets hard. So we're going to see who's got the good listening ears. And in round 1, you're going to fill out column 1. When it comes to round 2, you're going to move to the right and fill out column 2. When it comes time for round 3, you're going to move to the right and fill out column
3.
That's right. Janie is listening, even if nobody else is. And for round 4, you get to just read the last one, roam around the board anywhere you want to see what other people have written. Round 4 is a little bit like move around a little bit. The goal for this is that you are familiar with the perspective taking blockers that are listed up here. There are 4 of them: fundamental attribution error, naive realism, intergroup bias, and confirmation bias. And I want us all to be really familiar with them, but I'm not going to put them up on a slide and tell you what they are, because you folks are all really smart. So we're going to go into our different groups. You get to talk amongst your group as you kind of go from one to the other, and then we'll come back together after 20 minutes. We'll send a message every 5 minutes to start a new round, and it's going to be snappy and quick. And if you get confused, I wrote directions both on top and at the side. There are directions all over the place, folks. So how does this sound? Can I get a thumbs up from everyone who's ready to go? I see thumbs. I see all kinds of thumbs. Yes. I don't know. What do you think? Is it Eric? Sorry, I don't remember. Eric? Okay, thumbs up. These other gentlemen. Okay, I think we're all ready. So yay. So Darren, whenever you're ready to put us in our breakout groups, I think we're ready to go.
All right, doing it now.
Like Aaron, you're trying. Aaron's even written more directions for you. All right. So let me know when everybody's in the breakout, and I'll start our timer for our first go round.
Everybody's there. Janie, should be able to have there should be a link on your screen. Oh,
There we go. Laurie and Kim.
Laurie and Kim, there should be a link on your screen to join a breakout room.
Laurie and Kim, are you there? There goes Laurie. Kim, are you there? I'm going to start our timer. So how many people do we have in each group?
4 people in each breakout.
That worked out well.
And
Kim, did you see it?
Kim's not in one, so
Yeah.
once she joins, she'll be in that 4th one. And then I do have a broadcast message functionality, Amy Lou.
Yep.
Do you have that on yours?
Um,
I don't think you do. I think it's just that.
nope, I don't. So I'll tell you when this timer, can you see the timer, Darren? Oh, I stopped sharing my screen. Anyway, Mural is pretty kick-ass, folks.
Yeah.
I tried to
It's
get
really
them to
fun.
I tried to get them to do it in Degrade, and they just the product team. By the way, the product team went out and bought licenses, but the rest of them they're like, I don't know. I'm like, damn it, I want it, not the product.
We use Miro at work, but they ran out of licenses, so I'm in a weird I can use it temporarily. Kim, did you get a pop-up saying join a breakout room? And I know sometimes that happens. Right, Darren? Didn't you you got to hang out with one of our folks?
Yeah, last week for some reason, one person just couldn't get into a breakout room. I don't exactly know what it was.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can use this. They're all like walking. Oh yeah, some people are. Oh yeah, some people are. I think people are just getting confused. Some people are doing it and some people aren't. It's weird. I think they're playing around with the interface more than
they might
anything. They're not actually following the prompts. They're like building little silly things.
Well, it's good to give them a minute to orient. They're pretty good about organizing.
I think they're getting it figured out. But for just a second, I was like, oh crap! What if they can't use it, but they can?
Well, let me do a broadcast and say, quit playing around. No, I'm just kidding. But I could say round 1.
It's about round 1 is half done. They've got 2.5 minutes left. Huh? No, I'm just saying round 1. No, I'm just saying they've got 2.5 minutes left in round 1. I don't know.
Okay.
But they're starting to fill stuff in. Group 1, Group 3, and Group 4 are getting after it. Group 2 is just kind of hanging. They're like anonymous
Sandy's
bird.
in that group.
They might be talking through it.
Who knows what he's doing? I suppose I could pop in there and be like,
You can pop in and say, hey, do you need help or something like
yeah,
that.
how do I do that? How do I pop?
Oh shit! You know what? You can't unless I make you host again. So I'll make you host again if you want. Are you familiar with breakout rooms?
I've gone to breakout rooms in Blue Jeans and WebEx. I just haven't spent time in Zoom because it's not secure.
Right.
And my clients
They're working on
won't
it.
play.
So I'm going to make you host, and then you should be able to look at the breakout rooms to be able to join and pop in and out. So I'm going to make you host.
Cool.
And then Aaron, please make me co-host.
Understood.
Okay, so I'm going to go into breakout room 2, join.
Kim's not on. She has video, but no audio. So maybe Kim, if you're there listening in, okay, no problem. If you want to join via call.
I'm
Can
trying.
Can you make me co-host?
It's not an option now. I'm co-host. Oh, maybe I have to stop being co-host.
No. Don't do that. Don't take yourself off of host or co-host because then you can't get it back. Maybe Amy has to. It doesn't matter anymore because I think my job is done here.
Right.
And you're gonna wrap us up anyway. So.
Yeah. Do you need to drop off or anything?
Well.
Do you want to show me how to do the Can you show me how to do the breakout rooms, or do you want to just do that some other time?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's only one, because of our license. You have to be a host to do breakout.
Okay.
So we can do that at another time.
Yeah.
Next week.
Well, we've got
Pretty
next
easy.
next week we're taking a break because it's the 21st, and then
Oh,
Bruce
yeah,
is
you're
the
right.
following week. So if you want to do a you and me session between now and Bruce's, and then I can make sure I've blocked out my calendar on the 28th to kind of go in early to do the technical assistance
Okay.
AV check with Bruce.
I doubt that Bruce will have very much assistance needed.
Exactly.
No, I'm gonna stay on. It was an early day. I had Shaw Communications from Canada in a training session today, a 3.5 hour training session. I was up early and late last night for
Yeah.
things,
Yeah.
so.
I hear ya.
You're muted, Amy. God damn it! Why is it?
You're
It's
terrible
so
with names. You are
No,
literally terrible.
I know,
Let's start
but I
round
had it.
2. Let's
Okay.
start round 2.
So you'll have to do that, Amy. Now that you have host abilities, you can type in that little, where it says breakout rooms, and you pull it up. You can tell them that round 2 starting.
Broadcast a message to all.
Yep.
Start round 2.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep, I see it. How was it? Did anybody need your help, or were they just?
They did. Somebody didn't understand that on a touchpad they could squeeze in. They didn't know how to zoom on a touchpad. So
This is all really good though, because we can use it as fold in for directions and technical assistance. And maybe Darren, we should, if for certain. Did you see what Sandy called it? Learn a Pazuma.
Love it.
So I think we should TM hashtag. Thank you, Sandy Mason, for Sandy Abernethy for creating this.
I'm not giving him credit. I'm not giving him credit for anything.
I just thought that was like, oh, dope.
Okay. No, you're right. That is
Because I did it for the newsletter is Learn a Panuza.
Yeah.
So,
It takes the creative types.
but if we have these really robust interactive sessions, which we often do, we could maybe just extend it out like even 10 minutes, like do 70-minute sessions so that we can just kind of explain stuff. And
I totally could have given like a 10-minute tutorial on Mural, but I also figured I'd just toss everybody in there and see what happened.
yeah, I mean that's a learning principle too, right? Is figure it out, like
because that's what.
Amy, Lou, I do the
That's the
same
thing.
thing where I'm like, there's 4 people in there. I'm sure they can figure it out.
Yeah.
And they generally do.
Yeah.
They generally
Yeah.
Go ahead.
do. Yeah.
a little friction's good.
This is not a crafted learning experience. It's a experimental jam is the way I was thinking about it.
That's what we're all about.
Cool. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they generate
I am like,
and what your thoughts are.
are you looking at it? Are you looking at our group 4? Group 4 put all kinds of awesome images in there.
Yes, they did.
Who's in group 4? Group 4 is like rocking it.
It's a bunch of anonymous animals.
Oh, I can see group 4.
Yeah,
I can see it. Group 4 is Janie, Jeanette, Karen, and yes, Jane and Kim Collins never joined.
Okay.
Kim is here, but not here somehow.
The power of 3.
But yes, Jeanette, Janie, and Karen, that's pretty much a power crew right there.
It really is.
Karen is one of my...
Yeah, we've met Karen. She moved here now, didn't she?
I love it.
Or
Yes,
Yay.
she lives on Woodby.
Oh my God, how nice is that?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of anyone in my company who would be here who I wouldn't just be like, I love them all so much. I'm so tenderhearted right now. I think I miss people so much that I'm in love with all of you. I
know the feeling.
I
think that's good for right now, because maybe that's another version of perspective taking where you just kind of take a step back and you're just holding people in a little more grace, a little more tenderness than you're
Totally.
normally inclined. So
Not
Yeah.
everybody's getting that right now. That's the thing I've been learning. And by
true.
the way, there's a lot out there on leadership in times of COVID-19. It's like, well, it's times of change, but it's interesting. I've noticed that this perspective taken, and I knew where you're going with this around empathy, and I'm like, I'm not seeing that like in Dewey. I'm not seeing that in all of our leaders, but the leaders that count, like our CEO and some of these other ones, it is there, but it does show you that there's need for this for sure,
Yeah.
for sure
Yeah.
across the
Well,
board.
you know what's really interesting is that there's a huge, rich vein of research that came out of the Army. The Army teaches perspective taking for
Yep.
negotiations in like people who are going into new lands with new customs, and they've got to just be quick on their feet. And
Oh,
so
that's a good point.
this model is very highly influenced by a
Yep.
military model that's used.
Well, because it's psyops to get them to do what you want them to do.
Well, but it's really interesting because it's definitely rooted in collaboration and not in just
Ah,
manipulation, which I thought was interesting as I was
yeah.
reading through all of it. Yeah.
There's
Um,
a story Brene Brown talks about, I think maybe in Dare to Lead, or yeah, probably because that's like the one that cracked me open and ripped me apart and put me back together last year around this time. Um, where there's a high level military leader who is a woman who's addressing her military group, large group, and basically just models vulnerability and all that yummy good stuff, and brought up an HBR article about loneliness at work, and they started to have a conversation about what does it mean to be lonely. Good, I was wondering. Yeah, time for round 3. Good. Move to the right and answer problem 3. Great. I'm just like, yeah, we should talk about that more because we are
yeah.
lonely, damaged kids are showing up at work with us, our inner lonely, damaged kids, and
Yeah.
like
Absolutely.
thoughts on
Opening up.
membership. Yeah.
It is hard. It's really hard because it's hard to walk the walk of being a whole person business, because I think capitalism is just so used to wringing work out of people.
Yep.
And a lot of employees have employers, well, maybe employees have a mindset of, well, that's not what we're here. We're not here to be people. We're here to get this thing done. Um,
That's shifting
and
too, though.
it's
There's
interesting to be both and to consider how that can be a value, because it can be, but it's tricky. It's tricky space to navigate.
Are you hearing that, Darren and Amy Lou, from any of your clients about like our purpose right now is different than bottom line? Our purpose is take care of our people or something else. Like what are
Absolutely.
the notes from the field?
Well, and I'm not saying anything that isn't like public knowledge, but I mean, Facebook is being incredible to its people right now. Just incredible, like modeling wonderful compassion, and not just to its employees, but all vendor companies are getting excellent guidance and support from them during this time. I'm very grateful for the modeling that I see happening there and how I can learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. Darren?
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because when I look backwards at Degree, the last couple of years is you always knew who kind of the standout companies were because they're pretty active. It's those companies plus probably another 30% that are actively thinking about their organization, their people. They're embracing the idea of not only the remote work and all that, but the how do we get this work done with with people that have lots of anxiety. And so it's funny, I would expect that from Unilever, and some of these other companies, Airbnb, which is just going through a rough time right now, is one of our marquee customers from the very beginning. They're certainly, I expected from them, but I didn't necessarily expect it from Bank of America, who's actually doing a pretty good job internally of helping their own people through it. Shaw Communications, as I mentioned earlier, Lisa, I think I mentioned someone earlier, is that they're just doing a phenomenal, and they're getting hit. They're getting hit hard because it's a retail. Sharp Communications up in Canada, they're like our Verizon, right? So they're figuring this out as they go. But they're like, in fact, they bought services from me to spend money on their employees to help skill them up, reskill them in this time of need. So for me, I am hearing that. But again, you see that in these pockets of companies that you already respect, but I'm also seeing it in some companies that you're like, is it really about the stakeholder or is it about the people? And unfortunately, we're not seeing it in places like Walmart.
Not a huge surprise there.
Or even Boeing.
I know.
You know, like it's yeah. I mean, this is just hit on top of hit for them. Hey, Darren, you're kind of garbled. Did your thing move, or are you using your penis mic?
I am using my giant penis mic.
It's not very clear. It's harder to hear. It's hard to hear you.
Channel your inner shock jock.
Well, Amy Lou's got something like mine.
I know, and she sounds great.
I sound fabulous, but you have to speak right into it. You have to talk right into it.
Well, you know what? I'm just
there. You go.
I'm just gonna take it down a notch.
Totally.
You have to like. It's about mouth placement on the mic.
God, you guys. Good thing this is getting.
I'm moving in. Watch him come back from breakout rooms right now. Oh,
proximity. Okay, cool.
Mine does have an adjustment where you can adjust it kind of more of a cardioid mic or whatever they call it. So I sometimes try to get it out of the way, but then I think you're right. I need to bring it in.
Yeah, you sound great. Yeah, you both sound like radio DJs.
Karen, how's mom? Okay.
Out of the hospital as of yesterday, and they're now talking about not continuing treatment. She went from being advised to do chemo and radiation sandwich, and the anemia and the complexity of her case as her OBGYN and her hematologist and everybody who's consulting on her case. The OBGYN who originally recommended that mom do both chemo and radiation because of the percentage of success, survival rate being higher with the sandwich approach. That same OBGYN is now like, I'm not sure we should continue with either. And so mom's not like crazy about her hematologist. And I was like, well, then I want us to talk to a hematologist. I mean, we have Fred Hutch. We have literally one of the 2 best cancer treatment centers in the entire United States on the other half of our state. I'm not done getting answers. So it's early days. We got to go have a family conversation after dinner. But, that's not good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thinking about you and her and the family.
So stressful.
I'm so sorry, Aaron. That's rough.
I've been eating and drinking myself into like inflammation and weight gain and, made my back throw out. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, you got to pull it together here, Peter Schick, because, and work's stressful. I'm like just really struggling in my new role. And yeah, it's just fun times all around. So, and thank you. And I miss people like you say, like even I'm glad I like my husband as much as I do. We are rock solid. Like
that's awesome.
Closer.
I'm grateful that you have him. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's a good egg. Made me think of the Gottman Institute stuff when you said that it's, helpful in marriages. That whole perspective taking within marriages. Like, oh yeah. that might be a good thing right about now.
I tell you what, this is such a simple idea. So simple. But it's like so deep and elegant. I could spend the rest of my life studying, thinking about, and sharing insights about perspective taking. And I'm not kidding. Like,
That's awesome.
the rest of, I don't, I'm halfway through my life, so it's, but
Yeah.
the time I have left, I could dedicate it to this and it would be really meaningful.
Yeah. Maybe that's your next evolution or metamorphosis is to, deeper dive into that and go get your PhD and start traveling on the circuit,
On the circuit. This is lovely what these people have created here. They've got 2 more minutes and then we're going to come back for a little debrief, but not much. I don't have anything amazing in store. I mostly just wanted to get I'm going to like totally get I'm so interested in what people have written down here.
Me too. Do we get to see it afterwards or?
Sure, I can share it out to everyone. It's a thing of beauty. And then I wanted to share this tool with everyone because I've been using it like mad and it's just excellent. It's an excellent way to design a hack like this. Yeah. So cool. And Erin, I have so much compassion with what you're going through and it's so difficult and it's everybody's journey is like, it's so unique that even those of us who have gone through this with parents, it's a lonely time. And I'm sorry about that.
Well, and it's the whole, another version of checking my own privilege, like I have so much good stuff going on and just a fraction of the woes of so many people right now. So, but the reality is I have my woes too.
Yeah, you still get to have a hard time with this and it be really shitty and that's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sucks. Let's just acknowledge that. Now, what can I do to hold space for myself, hold space for others? I'm just trying to be tender to my mom too,
Yes.
Be kind to her. She can be frustrating to work with sometimes.
I'm going to bring them all back. Oh, they can see that they have 30 seconds left. I'll be patient. I'll give them their 30 seconds.
Yeah, it kicks them out of the room and it's great if they can just use that right up until the last second. So
yeah, there's a little timer on the mural and they would see that I cut them short. So I'll let them have there.
Did you set a timer on the breakout rooms there?
No, it's okay. I'll broadcast this. I'll say time to come on back, folks. I'll give them just like a second so that they're like, oh, we have to stop. And then I'm going to close the rooms. Yeah. Is that cool with everyone?
Yeah, that's how we do it. You kick them out. It's actually nicer. You don't have to go chase people from the break room and their sidebar conversations. Like, okay, class is starting again.
So it says it's closing in 60 seconds. It gives them a little bit of time. Here we go. Hi, folks. I'm so impressed with what everybody did. It's beautiful. What do people think? You can come on off of mute. First of all, what did people think of Mural? I'm just curious what your experience was like in the tool.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use a similar tool called Miro, which is, same idea. But yeah, I like those. It's great for virtual, group activities.
Yeah, totally. I'm going to share this mural with everyone. I'll send it to Darren and Erin and they can share it out. And I'm totally going to geek out over everything that you've put in here. I'm so interested in how people thought of and interpreted these different perspective blockers. Just curious, were any of them at all unique or surprising to you? Did all of them seem incredibly familiar?
Yes.
Did we all recognize them in ourselves? Had you all considered them as being something that keeps you from connecting to other people? Or is that kind of a new thing? I'm just curious.
Well, the categorization of them, the terms of them, yes, but in terms of what we identified, not really.
Yeah. Did anybody going to walk out of here with any insight or thought about how they might use this experience? I can see that you're all transformed. It warms my heart.
Well, I think with enough training on the tool, this could be a really interesting experience. So I'd like to talk more with you about the technology, the mural technology, and also your microphone.
Well, thank you for that. That's not exactly what we're here for today. Mural is not my
No.
product, nor is this microphone. But I'm curious about the content of what you experienced, not necessarily the platform, which I agree. Mural, thumbs up. That's one of the reasons I wanted to share it with
Yeah.
everybody today. I could have just been like, we're going to do a lap light about Mural, and that could have also been really cool. But I was trying to smash a couple of things together. But the
No, but
content, yeah.
it was a great way to, because I've been through plenty of D&I stuff in the past, and this was a great way to kind of surface it without just being lectured at.
Sure, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I give credit to people and my learners all the time, and I kind of just throw them into situations and I'm like, you guys figure it out. It's designing the container that allows people to explore those concepts. And so my vision for a day-long perspective taking workshop is that it is crafted around these sort of experiential containers. So I'm glad you enjoyed that part of it. But what I would love to consider is that, and I'm going to look at our time here really quickly, we're very close to time. I want to consider that you might try to pull up these 4 blockers when you are going to be interacting with a collaborator. You might consider these 4 things that keep you from really connecting and collaborating fully with someone and understanding their perspective, and sharing your own, because they are transformative. I mean, I'm not just fooling around here, folks. This is science-based stuff. And if you use this knowledge of your own cognitive abilities and that of others, you can really transform outcomes. So I there's a lot more, but that's just a little tiny taste of why I'm so excited about perspective taking. And I appreciate all of you being here. And we have just like 1 minute if anybody wants to ask a question, or I'll tell you about my microphone if you really want to know about it. No?
So this is Barbara. All I would say is
Barbara!
the cool part about perspective taking is you can't do it without vulnerability.
That's interesting, yeah.
Right? Because it means you've got to own your stuff. And owning your stuff publicly implies a willingness to be vulnerable and show yourself.
Yeah. It requires some self-knowledge. That's a really good point. Yeah. Susie's saying thank you. Anyone else have any thoughts they want to share?
I am super curious to hear a little bit about how you actually implement that in a workshop when you're actually trying to do this as more than just a let's brainstorm here. Like how do you conduct that in a workshop when you're doing that with customers, or how do you integrate this experience within a bigger workshop?
There are so many ways. I mean, what you just saw here of Mural, it's like one little designed place, but you can design anything you can imagine that you would do in a physical space where you might have people rotating around stations. And I don't really know how to answer that. Do you want me to give you a specific instance of a way that I've used it recently? Yeah. Okay. So I used it recently in a design hack. So my clients hire me often to help them design things, and I bring in co-designers who are my stakeholders. And I say, we're going to do this together. And so we created personas. We had breakout groups where they each had a persona and they were there. They did an empathy experience where they wrote in their persona's diary in the mural. And then they moved over and they considered these potential learning experiences that they were going into. They got like an agenda and like, you're going to go into this learning experience now. What do you think of this agenda? And they kind of wrote up around the agenda. And then 2 days later, they came back and we had designed a different learning experience, and they went through using critiques from their learning experience, from their learner personas, like they put on their persona hats again and critiqued it. They used constraints using their own hats, their own real brains, like what was operationally hard about this or content-wise. And then they did a solutions hat. Now put on your solutions hat and go through these critiques and constraints and make solutions. I'm talking really fast because we're out of time, but that's one way I've used it. It's a way to design experiences virtually, and it can be used in just about any way you can probably imagine, where you want people to build on something and notate on something. Yeah. It's like saying how to use whiteboards and stickies. It's like, so many ways. Yeah.
And then you've
I think
got a way to capture it too.
Yeah, and you can tell who wrote everything. Not when you're anonymous cows and rams and penguins, but when you're real people and they sign in, you can see who wrote and annotated everything, which can be really insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Amy Lou.
Always a
Thanks
pleasure,
for,
Erin.
yeah, thanks for the time. This was kind of an amuse-bouche, a little appetizer to whet your appetites, to get you to come check out anything and everything else we can talk Amy Lou into sharing from the impressive catalog of AMP's clients and experience and learning design.